Hi, this is Joe Biondo, and today I'm going to show you how to create a transparent image using a layer mask. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is open up the files we're going to use for this exercise. So from Photoshop, you can click Open, and in Exercise 7 folder, you can click on the O3 football player. You can hold Control on your keyboard, and then click Stadium, and that'll select both the football player and the stadium. And then go ahead and click Open. And so just go ahead and click on the football player tab so that we're working with the football player. And so sometimes you're given an image or you have an image and you want to make that transparent because you want to use a portion of an image on, to be on top of a different image that you like or a different background or a different setting. But the problem is you have a really tricky photo. And by that, we have something here. And this is why I picked this one in particular, because this is tricky. You have this guy jumping for the football, and he's stretched out, and he's got kind of a weird angles to him. But you also have this football player here in the way, and then behind him, behind this football player, you have a row of people. Some have these yellow vests on there, and then you have this railing here, and then you have a bunch of blurred people up here. And so you want to take this action shot and put it into something else that you want to use. But something like the magic wand tool that we showed would not work. And even the object selection tool, the way I showed it in the second transparent video, wouldn't work. So what we want to do to try to make this player transparent is we're going to have to use a layer mask. So I'm going to show you how to do that here, this technique. So this is involves a little bit more than the other two transparent options, but I still think it's doable if you want an image that bad. So the first thing, just like all of them, we want to make ourselves a duplicate layer. So we're going to right-click Duplicate Layer and hit OK. And we're going to do the similar move. We're going to get the object selection tool. We're going to click Object Selection Tool. But this is kind of a weird object because you have an object for the football and his arms there and everything else. And Photoshop may not be able to detect this as one object because there's so much stuff going on in the background. But we'll try it anyway and we'll see what we get. And then we'll work from there. So let's make a selection around this football player, a box. So we're going to start up here and we're going to left click and try to make a box around the player as best as you can and then let go. And so Photoshop's looking here. And so it actually looked pretty good as far as the selection goes. There are some elements it didn't capture that we'll need to fix. Okay, so you have a pretty good selection, but it's not perfect. But so what we'll do next is, now that you have the selection around the player and it's pretty good, we're going to go to this icon here, this one with the black circle, and we're going to add a layer mask. Okay, so we're make sure we're on the background copy, and we're going to click this and do Add Layer Mask. Okay, and then we're going to take the background off, and so now that has taken out almost all the background here. But there are some elements of the photo where it's not perfect. So like here between the legs, you still see some background. His foot is not fully developed yet. There's something around his arm. The football is kind of missing, right? So we want to try to fix those things. And now with a mask, when we're working with a mask, there's two colors that are important here. when you're working with a mask, and that's the color white and the color black. And you see it here, and also on the mask layer here. And the way a mask, the way it's easy to remember is white is to reveal elements of the original image. So if you use the color white as your foreground color, and you have the paintbrush, and let me just put on, I'll put on a brush right here. And if I just color in white, it'll reveal the original image here, okay? So white to reveal, and then black to conceal. So there are elements here of the image where we want to conceal, where we want to turn that into transparent so that we can refine this image a little bit better. So we're going to use black to touch up in places. So what we can do here is um, we can use the paintbrush. So if we turn the black color into the foreground and we do the paintbrush, we can kind of change the size and make it a little bit lower. And if you start clicking around here with black, and you'll see it'll start removing, concealing the background image here. Okay, so you can start doing that around the edges if you want. There's a couple other ways to do this as well. So in the case of in between his legs, it's kind of a tough spot here, but you can then do the object selection tool again, and if you draw a box around it, then it's going to select just that portion in between there. And then if you hit delete, whoops, you want to make sure black is in the background position. Okay, and then if you hit delete, then that'll clear out there, right? And so you can keep using the object selection tool. So let's just do around the football and his hand. Just try to get as close as you can, right? And it'll do that same thing. Hit delete. Oops. Right? To reveal, white to reveal. And you can select off. So another thing I do is, because sometimes it's hard to see what's missing, is I sometimes put a layer. I create a new layer, and then I'll fill it with a color so I can kind of see any kind of edges I want to fix. So you can go edit, fill, and I'm just going to pick color from his jersey and hit OK. And I'll move the background layer above him. So, like I said, I'm not sure what happened here between his legs, but if you click on the background mask, make sure that's selected here. Put black into the background or use your painter tool. Hit delete right around his hands. Whoops, we got to go white to reveal it. We have to select off here. Sorry, we're going to go make sure we deselect it off with white in the background so that we reveal, so the football is revealed. And then his hand, we can get some of his hand in here. He looks pretty good. But this is just kind of a process you work through, right? So you get his hand that's selected, and you want to reveal that, right, using white. So I'm hitting delete to kind of fill that with white so that it fills it in the mask. See where else we got here. Got his arm. This is something where you might be able to, same thing, use the object selection tool and just kind of bring it around there. It's going to select that. So we want to conceal this one. So we want black in the background. Hit delete. That'll conceal it. His foot looks like it can be fixed up a little bit better. So again, do object selection tool, go around his foot, selecting his foot. So we want this to reveal, right? We don't want to remove it. We want to reveal what's his foot from the background picture. So white is to reveal. That'll be in the background position. We'll hit the delete button. That makes his foot go in there. So you do all the touching up that you feel is needed. We're going to touch up a little bit here over his helmet. We want to conceal that, right? So that's going to be black in the background. Hit delete. Okay. And so you've now made yourself a transparent image of the football player out of a really tricky image, right? So that's the original. There he is, transparent. And so what you would do is when you have him transparent, you could go File, Save As we said in the other transparent things. To retain that transparency, it has to be a ping, right? So File, Save, Ping, save it. Or you can just grab them right here, drag them right on top of another image, and there you go. Now you have yourself an action shot out of an image there. And so that's how it's done. And so that's a way of using a layer mask to create a transparent image.